Very warm good morning to all of you, my dear students. Myself Sunil Pawar welcomes you back for the new session of 10th class science subject. Okay. Today we are going to take a new chapter, that is chapter number 16, management of natural resources. Okay. So as you know that what is the meaning of resources? Okay, anything which fulfill a particular or the different demand for on a large scale, okay, either quantity wise or quality wise, then it is called as which one thing, resources. Okay, in the nature you know that we can classify them according to convenience, likewise the natural and man-made or artificial, okay, or exhaustible and inexhaustible, the different is there. Okay, so first we are just trying to learn the meaning of the word, okay, that is the resources. As it is written there, anything in the environment which can be used is called a natural resource, okay, or a resource is provided to us by the nature. Clear? That means whatever the thing which we are using here in our life, okay, in our daily life, which is existing in this nature, is called as resources. One who fulfill your requirement or your demand, that is called as resources. Okay, it includes total natural environmental support human life and contribute to the production of the necessities and comforts to the mankind. Clear? That means whatever our requirement is there, it is fulfilled by these resources, necessities, and it also gives a proper comfort, it assists our life. Okay, and this natural resources is actually the components of the atmosphere, hydrosphere and lithosphere, okay, as well as if we are considering the living system, then it is also the animals and plants. Okay, we used to keep these animal and plants also as a resource because they also fulfill a different demands, right? Now, so here if we are discussing the types of natural resources, then on the availability, okay, on the basis of their availability, we can divide them into two. One, that is the inexhaustible, and second is exhaustible. Okay, the meaning of inexhaustible is that its availability should be plentiful. Okay, it is not going to be exhausted because okay, if even we are using in the unlimited or unconditionally, okay, so just like that you can see that this air, sand, clay, okay, these all are considered as a inexhaustible resources, even though because of the overburden utilization or the this excessive population, but they are fulfilling our different requirements and they are not going to be finished, so we call them the inexhaustible. And second is the exhaustible, the sources or the resources which is available in a very small quantity or in a limited quantity, it is better to call them, which is available in the limited quantity. And also one more thing, they are not going to be recycled by the natural cycling. Okay, so surely if we are using them in excess, then once upon a time they are going to be exhausted. Just like that, this coal, petroleum, okay, these are considered as the exhaustible natural resources because the availability is very few. Okay, as well to reform or reconstruct, they need the billions of years. Okay, so remember, this is the classification of the natural resources, exhaustible and inexhaustible. Clear? So here we are going to discuss this management of the natural resources. Clear? A system of controlling the use of natural resources in such a way as to avoid their wastage and to use them in the most effective way is called the management of the natural resources. You know that the basic meaning of the management is to manage the whatever the system or the units or whatever this one. Okay, so it is also compulsory to manage natural resources in proper way, otherwise surely one day we will face a big problem, a huge problem, okay, because of mismanagement only. Clear? So The need of the is to wisely manage our natural resources and minimize their wastage. For this, we should remember the 3 R's. Okay, so what are these 3 R's? You know that this is the basic funda of the management of the resources, that is the reduce, recycle and reuse. Okay, these 3 things, remember. What is the first one? Reduce, second is recycle and third is reuse. These are called as 3 R's of the management. Clear? So, what is the reduce? It means we should minimize a use of natural resources, the sources of energy and the food material. Clear? That means just to reduce the use of these sources. Okay, you can't stop them, you can't stop their uses. Okay, but we should use them wisely as well as in a limited way. We should avoid some unnecessary uses of this one thing. So, it comes under which heading? That is the reduce. Second is recycle. It means that we should collect materials likewise this paper, plastics, glass, this all material items, and this waste material should be recycled to obtain this material again. Just like that, somewhat inferior quality or somewhat poor quality of the content can be made, just like by using these papers or the used copies, it can be recycled and we can make the cardboard, hardboard or this kind of rough papers of the paper packing and also this one thing. So, this way we can stop the further cutting of the forest. Okay. Similarly, this reuse, this is the best strategy. We should be encouraged to use things again and again instead of throwing them away. Just like that, the plastic bottles, okay, those we get with jams and pickles and can be reused for storing the things in the kitchen. Okay. Likewise, these water bottles we can use again and again. Okay. The polythenes which are basically used to sell out the different this retail things and all this one thing, we can use them for repacking and this one thing. Clear? And surely out of this 3-1, if you observe this reuse, it is best way to manage this one thing. So, you can say that this reuse is the better than the recycling. Clear? Now, next we are going to discuss need to manage the natural resources. So, what are the basic needs we are facing for managing this one thing, and for this one thing, for their judicial use, to fulfill the needs of the present generation and also last for the generations to come, we needed a sustainable management. Okay, in which by keeping the present use on a particular eye for the future requirement. Okay, so what is this one thing? The proper management of the natural resources takes into consideration long term perspective, okay, and prevents their exploitation or held for short term gains. Okay, this is the most important fact. Okay, then the proper management can ensure equitable distribution of natural resources so that all the people can benefit from the development of these resources. Equitable distribution. This is the most important one. Otherwise, the excessive storage at one place only cannot be suitable for the demand of the others. Okay, it's surely going to be wastage. Okay, then the proper management will take into consideration the damage caused to the environment during the extraction or use of the natural resources and find ways and means to minimize this damage. This is the basic fact we should use. Okay, now these days this main problem arises in front of to use this natural resource, that is the water. Okay, that is the pollution of water. You know that. What is the pollution? Any kind of pollution of water, or simply if you ask about pollution, then any kind of undesirable change in the which condition? Biological, physical or chemical condition, which make this resource unfit for the use of the living being, that is called as pollution. Okay, simply if this three kind of anyone or all these three kind of conditions will change in the water resources and it will become unfit for the use of the human being, then it will consider the water pollution. And these days we are very badly facing this problem. Okay, just how can we confirm the pollution of the water? Okay, so first of all, the presence of the coliform bacteria in the river water, okay, as well as the measurement of the pH of the river water. Okay, I think so you are familiar about this coliform bacteria. Actually, this coliform bacteria is a symbiotic bacteria which is basically present in our alimentary canal, human alimentary canal. Okay, and if its availability is traced in the river water or the water resource, that means surely this water is containing this drainage water or the sewage water, surely, because it will come only from the septic tanks and the fecal material of the human beings. Okay. Similarly, the pH value of the water will tell you about the mixing of the industrial waste specially. Okay. So, by knowing these two facts, we can confirm the rate of pollution in the water. Okay. So, now here I think so you heard about this Ganga's action plan, or what you see, that is the GAP. Okay. You know that this Ganga river is considered as one of the most important river which flows in India. Okay. It runs over nearly 2,500 kilometer from Gangotri in the Himalayas to the Ganga Sagar in the Bay of Bengal. Okay, and is being polluted by more than 100 cities and towns in the UP, Bihar and West Bengal. The garbage, human excreta, untreated sewage, this all actually dumped into the wire, into this river everyday life. Okay, and this and you know that just to overcome from this problem, a multi-crore project, it is nearly consisting 901.71 crore rupees, okay, in 1985 to improve the quality of the Ganga, and this project was named as Ganga Action Plan. Okay, it was formulated to reduce the pollution load of the river Ganga by more than 75%. Okay. The water quality has been tested from time to time by checking coliform bacteria. Okay, and what is the number? Okay, that is the per 100 ml, and according to this survey what we conducted in 1993 and 94, we observed this result. Okay, this is the result of which one thing, that is most probable number per 100 ml of water is observed. Okay, it was minimum in the Rishikesh. Okay, it is hardly ranging between 600 to 650 mpn per 100 ml. Okay, and actually what is the minimum desired level? Near about 450 mpn per 100 ml. Okay, but in Kannauj we observe that its availability was nearly 1400 mpn per 100 ml. It is such a critical condition. It shows that how polluted this river is in the low lying areas, okay, where the flow of the water is quite good. It's slopey area. It is not that much polluted in comparison of the plain areas. Okay, so this is quite compulsory to manage this water resource, and this kind of action plan should be needed. It's very badly needed, actually, not should be needed, for the maintenance and their proper management. Okay, this is an example of the natural resource, how badly it is disturbed by the human activities. Okay, here we are going to discuss the wildlife and its conservation. You know that what is the wildlife? The total composition of the living beings which is not domesticated, which is not cultivated or agricultured by the human beings, like the animals and plants, then it is called as wildlife. Okay, so it is quite compulsory to be taken for the conservation, some steps should be taken for the conservation of the wildlife. Okay, so what are this one thing, what steps should be done or taken? The law should be made to impose a total ban on the poaching or capturing of any animal or bird belonging to an endangered species. What is endangered species? The species which is an urge of an extinction. This is called as endangered species. Okay, so we should apply a total ban on their poaching. Poaching means unwanted killing, or that is this one thing without unlaw. Okay, so the natural habitats of wild animals and birds should be preserved by the establishing the national parks and sanctuaries throughout the countries. Okay, so these animals can be protected by settling this national parks and sanctuaries. Okay, you know that in a nearby area in the Sardapu, you know about that, the wild a bird sanctuary is there for protecting this Kharmor. Okay, now the government department connected with the conservation of wildlife should conduct a periodic survey in all the forests, national parks and sanctuaries to have knowledge of the population of all species of wildlife and animals and birds. It is quite compulsory to keep a keen eye over the population and their damage, right. The special attention should be paid to the conservation of endangered species of wildlife and birds to prevent their extinction altogether. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to protect them. Okay, precaution is better than the cure, you know that. Similarly, then they will intend the endangered species. Okay, so before this one, by performing this kind of surveys, we can identify this kind of species, the threatened species. Okay, and we should start some steps to be applied to manage them. Okay, the unauthorized felling, that is the cutting of forest trees for the timber trade and the fuel wood, should be curbed. Okay, immediately. It is quite compulsory to protect the habitats. Okay, if we manage this habitat, then only this wildlife can be survived and managed. So here we are going to discuss the forest and the wildlife conservation. Clear? We know that these are considered the bioreserves. This forest is basically considered the bioreserves. What is the forest? The extensive area of land covered with the trees and the other plants, that is called as forest. Okay, and it is such a big and natural habitat for the maintenance and survival of the biodiversity in this area. Okay, what is the biological diversity? The total number of the communities which observe in a specific area. Okay, that is called not only specific animals or plant, everything, animals, plants, even microbes. Okay, even this fungus and all such one thing. When togetherly observed in a specific area, then it may be considered the biodiversity. Okay, and you know that this hotspot is actually the place which is full of diversity. Clear? If you observe such a great variety of biodiversity in a particular area, then that area is considered the hotspot. Now, and this loss of diversity may lead to be a loss of ecological stability and the ecological imbalances, because you know that we all are interacting with each other. All the species which is existing in any area is not independent. They are dependent on each other, and that dependency is only maintained by balancing this condition. Okay, this forest need to be conserved because they provide the habitat to numerous species of plants and animals. Similarly, they help in protecting the soil from the erosion. You know that this plant is not only helpful for increasing the quality of the soil, but they also protect it from the flood and this kind of factors. Okay, they store a large amount of water which act as a buffer for the ecosystem during the dry periods. Okay, similarly, they manage the balance of the oxygen carbon dioxide that is important for all life on the earth. You know that these plants are the producer, and by performing this photosynthesis they are also maintain a proper balance between the carbon dioxide and oxygen. Okay, they provide the timber to main for the various activities like the construction, furniture, and also these places. They provide the raw material for the food, cloth, and other industries also, like this all paper industries, and these are purely based on this forest. Okay, not only this one thing, they also provide us this alcohol. Okay, similar this different medicines, this dyes, ink, also this one thing. Okay, so on the basis of the dependence on the forest or this forest wealth, we can decide the stakeholders. Okay, so first, what is this stakeholder? Okay, a stakeholder can be a person, a group, or an organization having interest or concern directly or indirectly for something is called as stakeholder. Okay, that means it may be a person, it may be an agency, it may be a group of person, it may be industrialist. Okay, anyone who is directly or indirectly concerned with such resource, that is called as a stakeholder. Okay, so if we observe the stakeholders of the forest, then we are having basically these four stakeholders. The first one, that is the local people. Okay, those who directly depends for fulfilling their livelihood on this forest, just like that they obtain their food, they obtain their clothing, they obtain their shelter. Okay, as well as food for the animals, and also this one thing, that is the first stakeholder. Then second, the forest department. It is the government department which is responsible to maintain the proper facilities and the protection. Okay, it is actually the owner of this land. Okay, and just like that, by deciding a particular policy for this forest, they can manage the basic features of this one. Likewise, suppose that they are using this monoculture in this forest. Likewise, the trees which required for the paper industry or for the production of this paper can be grown this one thing. Suppose that in a particular area, by growing especially teak woods, we can manage this one thing for the furniture. Okay, for the medicinal purposes also this one. So they play such an important role by deciding the policy for the maintenance of this forest. Okay, the third stakeholders are the industrialists. Okay, or the industries, which is directly or indirectly depends on the forest product. Just like that, you know that this paper industry, this beedi industry. Okay, you know that this tendupatta, what is the source of this tendupatta? Only this forest. Okay, similarly this teak wood and this all sagwan and all this one thing, beith and this one, which is basically used for the manufacturing of this furniture, is only obtained from this one. Not only this one, all this dry fruits as well as this gum, okay, this latex, this all is obtained from this, and these industries are based on this one thing. So they are also earning this profit because of this forest, and they are having also the concern with this one. Okay, and third one, that is the wildlife enthusiasts. Okay, this media person, this NGOs, those who are not in direct contact with this forest, but they show their concern because of the moral values. Okay, they grow an awareness among the people for maintenance, for management, for protection, and for the well-being of this one. Okay, so these are the four stakeholders, which is quite compulsory. Clear? And they are having this direct or indirect concern with this one thing. Okay, and if you want to manage a proper forest wealth, then all these four stakeholders should be know their responsibility and fulfill them properly. Clear? Now here we are going to discuss the conservation of the forest. So first of all, there is the afforestation. Afforestation means what? A proper planting, growing, and protecting the growth and the management of the plants, that is called as the afforestation. Just like that, plant mahotsav, okay, a plant movement is carried out in the month of February and July, which is actually by the government agencies and the volunteers only for growing the awareness in the common people about the forest. Clear? This reforestation, it also plays such an important role for developing the forest cover in the area which has been damaged or cleared during the exploitation. So, regrowth of the forest. Clear? Then the separation of the commercial forestry. Right? We know that some special or the useful plants required by the industry should be planted separately or preferably on the wasteland. Likewise, we can grow this Ratanjot or this kind of plant, no? Just for the biodiesel. Okay. So it will not only convert this wasteland into the fertilized land, okay, or the fertile land, but they also help in maintaining the ecological balance too. Okay. Similarly, this grazing should be regulated only on the basis of the availability of this agriculture, this field, and the availability of this green fodder only. Clear? Now, one of the biggest problem, that is the deforestation. Okay, that is the which one thing, removal or decreases or the deterioration of the forest cover of an area is called as the deforestation. Not thoughtful cutting, okay, or the cutting on a vast level or on such a huge level, which is responsible for making such area barren or naked from this kind of forest cover. Okay, so what are the effects of the deforestation? Surely that is soil erosion. You know that this what do you say, that is the falling of the leaf, okay, then the branches as well as this fruits and this one, okay, it is responsible to increase the quality of the soil of this forest land by increasing the humus in this area, okay, as well as their roots, their cover is responsible to restrict the excessive flow of water and the air in this area to restrict the soil erosion, okay. Then the desertification, you know that in the absence of this forest, this fast blowing air, the fast running water, rainwater, okay, and this all is responsible to remove the fertile soil from this land, which is surely responsible to make it desert in nature, okay. And the floods, this flood is actually controlled by the that soil which is actually gripped and managed by this one. Similarly, the destruction of the wildlife, okay, you know that this forest provide a better habitat for the survival of this one thing, okay, and if this forest will not be there, then surely this habitat will be fully destructed. And this climatic changes also, if the forest cover is absent, then surely this hotter and the winters become the extra cool. Again, the frequency of the rainfall will also decreases because we know that these forests are responsible to attract the rains. Now, just for growing the awareness, the government has also established some awards, like this National Award for the Wildlife Conservation. I think so you heard about this Amrita Devi Vishnoi Award, okay. This national award is actually established in the memory of the Amrita Devi. In 1931, she sacrificed her life along with the 363 peoples to protect the khajuri trees, okay, in the Kharali village in Rajasthan, Jodhpur. See that. In the British rule, when this government want to cut the forest and destruct this forest well, then this lady come along with the 363 other village peoples to sacrifice their life and to protect these trees only, okay. So these are the examples which can motivate the others too. Now the sustainable management, this is the most important fact. Okay, what is this one thing? The controlled use of a resource in such a way that its present availability and the continuous flow to the future generation is ensured without any disturbance to the environment. Simply the use of the present resource by knowing the requirement of the future generation, okay, and make it show, that is called as sustainable management. Similarly, sustainable development also, if this development encourages the judicious use of the natural resources to meet the current basic human needs while preserving the resources for the need of the future generation, is called as sustainable development. Clear? So this sustainable management demands these few basic facts. First one, that is using resources carefully, because these are not unlimited. Okay, while we are using these resources, then we should keep this first thing in our mind, that these resources are not unlimited. They have a certain limit. If we will use beyond this level, then surely it is going to be destroyed. Then a long term perspective, so that these resources will last for the generations to come and will not merely be exploited for the short term gains. Okay, just think about their long term use. Okay, then this equitable distribution of resources, so that all and not just a handful of rich and powerful people benefit from the development of these resources. This is equitable distribution which helps them to manage this one. Okay, checking the damage caused to the environment while these resources are either extracted or used, most important one. Then the planning for the safe disposal of the waste which is generated when natural resources are either extracted or used. This is the most important one. How can we manage the waste material? The dumping, the disposable, so it cannot cause the effect on this population or the resources. Okay, now just recall this Chipko Andolan. It is also known as the Chipko movement, which was started in the Garhwal district, okay, in 1970s, when the result of a grassroots level effort and the alienation of the people from their forest. Chipko, it is also called as the hug tree movement. Okay, this Chipko Andolan is actually the tree hugging movement, in which the villagers complete the X-Men to stop the tree falling by embracing and the forming the ring around the marked trees. Okay, they are like the Sal forest in the West Bengal in 1972. Clear? So it not only responsible to grow the awareness among the people for the toward the forest and its protection, but it also encourages the others. So what role is actually played by this Chipko Andolan? It helped in conservation and preservation of the forest, one of the most important natural resource. So it cannot be deforested. Okay, it allows the village communities to utilize the forest produce and allowing the resources to the replenishing over time. Okay, if these people are only using, then it will be managed properly for their use only. But if these industries are disturbing this forest, then surely on a large scale tree cutting is responsible for deforesting or affecting the forest area. It taught people that the destruction of forest not only affects the availability of the forest product, but also the quality of the soil and the source of water is very badly affected, influence. Okay, it forced government to rethink the priorities of the local people in the use of the forest produce. Just like that, we learned earlier, these local peoples are the first stakeholder, because their life is directly influenced by the forest and its wealth, forest wealth. So first we think about this local people, the wildlife, and then we should take all this one. Okay, it encourages the participation of the local people in the efficient management of the forest. So this way you can see that this Chipko Andolan, or what you say, the hug the tree movement, is very is actually influencing in nature and very positively affect the human being. Okay. Now, we are going to discuss the water as a resource after this wildlife and the forest. Clear? You know that this water is the basic necessity of the modern life. You can't imagine life without the water. Okay. And we know that the reasons of water scarcity are closely related to the reasons of actual or acute poverty. You know that this India is also an agricultural based country, so we can't imagine about this one. So the failure to sustain water availability has resulted in loss of the vegetation. Clear? This irrigation method like dam, tank should be used in the various parts of India. You know that what is the dam? Dams are actually such a vast construction across the rivers to regulate the flow of water, and it is a large reservoir to store the huge amounts of water, and the stored water then allowed to flow the downstream at the desired rate. It is not only for the drinking purpose, it is also used for the agricultural purpose. It makes sure the availability of the water throughout the year. It is also useful for the production of the electricity or generate the electricity. It is responsible to recharge the local water resources. Okay, not only this one thing, it is also make sure the whole year availability of the water. Okay, you know that how this Indira Sagar dam and this Indira canal is actually helpful to make surety of the water in the Rajasthan, the total desert area. Okay, you know about this Sardar Sarovar project. Okay, this dam is actually constructed on this Narmada river in Gujarat. Clear? How useful it is. Okay, so this way we can see that this flowing water can be stopped and utilized for these purposes. So this is the advantage of the dam. But you know that each coin has two sides, so disadvantages are also there. Okay, because some social problems also, because it is responsible for the migration of the people, it is responsible for destruction of the agricultural land of that local people. Okay, and surely it is also related with the environmental problem. Likewise, it is responsible for destruction of the biodiversity of that area. It is responsible for the extinction of the rare species of such area. Okay, and even it caused such a great effect on the flora and fauna of that area. Clear? Surely the economical problems are also arises because of this one, because you know that the people who lives in such area is purely depends on the land, forest and this water for their livelihood. Okay, so surely it is going to affect them very badly. So it is compulsory to control and manage this water loss. Okay, you know that the rainwater is quite abundant in our country, but what happened, just because of their running away, it is not make sure the use of this water throughout the year. So for this purpose, this water harvesting is compulsory. What is this one thing? It means the capturing rainwater where it falls or capturing the runoff water in a local area. It aims is to develop the primary sources of land and water and to produce a secondary resource of plant and animal for use in a manner which will not cause ecological imbalance. Okay, so this way just which one thing, protecting the this rainwater area from running away in that particular area. So for this one thing, this different techniques is actually locally is used in the different state, like this khadin, tanks and nadis where in the Rajasthan, this bhandaras and tals in the Maharashtra, Budis in the Madhya Pradesh, okay, this ahars and panis in the Bihar, kuls in the Himachal Pradesh, ponds in the Jammu region, and this air is in the Tamil Nadu. Okay, you know that these are the local practices which actually use in these different states to protect the water loss and to store this water. Just like this khadin, okay, it is such a traditional method of water harvesting. Okay, you know that basically in any region or in any area, just like in a village, you know that this water after falling on the land surely going to run away in a specific direction according to the slope. Okay, so this kind of construction is actually constructed to protect this one. Okay, especially this technology or this method khadins is actually constructed in the Rajasthan. Okay, especially in this Jaisalmer and the this one thing, the Barmer district. Okay, here you can see that this is the construction. Okay, this is the plain area, and then later on it will just we are constructing this low lying area with the help of is permanent concrete construction. So it is possible to restrict this water to flow from this one thing, and a reservoir is constructed. This area is called as the catchment area, because from this one thing this flowing water will comes and store here. Okay, and then this area is called as the saline area, where no availability of water is there, but you know that there is seepage in the reservoirs. Okay, so in the low lying area somewhat down to this one, we are again constructing a deep area or the tanks, okay, which is responsible to collect the seepage of water again here. So this way we can restore this loss of water from these reservoirs. These khadins are also help to make surety of the water throughout the year. So this is a good technique for the maintenance of this water. Okay, and now these days, you know, such this tube well recharging and this all kind of facts which we are using in cities also for recharging this well, tube wells, okay, by collecting that roof water. Okay, you know that is called the rainwater harvesting. Clear? And by purifying, we can directly send them where in these tube wells. Okay, what is the advantage of this rainwater harvesting? This water will not evaporate. Okay, it will also help to recharge these resources. It also moistens the surrounding and vegetation. It does not provide breeding ground for the mosquitoes because it is underground in nature. This groundwater is protected from the contamination by the human and the animal waste. Okay, it raises the groundwater level. This water table surely increases because of this water harvesting. Okay, and this moisture in the soil will help, okay, as well as in the surrounding. It is responsible to improve the quality of the crops. Okay, the water stored in the ground protect from the contamination. So these are the advantage of this one thing. Okay, then the next fact, that is the watershed management. Clear? This watershed management is actually a program which run by the government as well as the NGOs and the local bodies to uplift the water groundwater level, or what you say, the water table. Clear? You know that in slopey area this rainwater comes and fell and ran away from this area. Okay, but if we construct the small stop dams, okay, by constructing the small ponds, clear, it is quite helpful to store and allow to stay this water for a long period of time. Then only this will not make the surety of the drinking water for the human beings and the cattle, but it also helpful for agricultural practices. Okay, its percolation is responsible to increase the groundwater table. Okay, and it makes sure the availability in this area for a long period of time. Okay, so this is the watershed management program which run by the government, and you know that this Madhya Pradesh, especially this Jhabua district, is one of the best example of this watershed management program. Okay, now we are moving toward the next natural resources which is exhaustible, that is the coal and petroleum. You know that this is exhaustible. It is a limited one, and it take crores of year for the manufacturing or the construction or the production. Clear? You know that this both are the combustible and the main fuel for the modern era. Clear? This coal is produced by the accumulation of these plants and this forest under the ground surface, and it is a power bank for the industries. Clear? Similarly, this petroleum, which is actually petra plus oleum, that means it is also contains the rock oil. Okay, you know that how it form, how it produces. Okay, when we obtain it in the raw form, no, that is called as the crude oil. Later on, with the help of the refineries, and we can obtain a different pure form for the different purposes. Clear? So this fossil fuel is a lifeline of this modern period. Okay, and it is a basic fuel, okay, which used to run this all what do you say, this automobile and also this one transport facilities, and this all is purely based on this one thing. So it is quite compulsory to make it thoughtful use. So what methods can be used for conserving this one thing? This burning of coal is not only causes the pollution, but it also responsible for its destruction. So on the place of this one thing, we should convert it into the gases like the CNG, and this one is basically utilize this one thing. It is called the gasification of this one. Okay, this technique should be developed to recover the maximum fossil fuel lies in the deep mines and the wells. Okay, so this transportation and this one should be avoided. The both oil wells and the coal mines are the prone to catch the fire, so that's why it should be well protected from the fire to stop the loss of these natural resources. The overconsumption of the oil in automobile should be checked, and we must save oil for the future use, because only a few years are left for this depletion. You know that the next few decades this fuel is available, don't know what happened in the next few generations. Okay, the alternative sources of the energy should be developed, likewise this hydroelectricity, nuclear energy, solar, wind power, and the biogas plant. It should be encouraged to use and settle down. So only by using this one we can manage this thing. Okay, so what are the steps should be taken for conservation of the energy resources? It is quite simple to save this electricity, water by not using when not required. This is the most important one. Unnecessarily no use of this thing. Okay, this use energy efficient electrical appliances to save the electricity. Okay, the properly graded and ISI marker appliances should be used, or the energy saving devices should be used, or they use the pressure cooker for the cooking food. Okay, on the place of using this open cooking, use solar cookers. Okay, just to avoid the use of electricity and this fossil fuel. Okay, this solar cooker is not only protect the fuel, but also it is helpful for retain the quality of the food and the nutrients. Okay, encourage the use of the biogas as the domestic fuel by producing the natural what do you say, the local availability of this dung and all this one thing. This fuel efficient motor vehicle should be designed to reduce the consumption of the petrol and diesel. Okay, then only by improving the technology and this thing we can improve this one also. Okay, so one thing which is very clear from this discussion, this natural resources are God gifted. Okay, but it's our duty to manage them in such a way they can be saved and protected for the next generation. It is our duty also. Okay, our next coming generation should enjoy this one. So please take care of your natural resources and do not waste them. Okay, so thank you very much for paying your attention. Wish you all the very best. Keep studying, keep reading. Thank you.